Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Muslimhomies.
Where is freedom of speech? Josh Alexander was suspended last November over comments made about #gender in class and told he couldn't return to class until he recanted. Alexander returned to class and was promptly met by the vice principal, arrested by 2 local police officers and charged with trespassing. The now seemingly former student of St. Joseph's Catholic #high school told the National Post in an interview that he made comments during a class discussion on gender. It was about male students using female washrooms, gender dysphoria and male breastfeeding. Everyone was sharing their opinions on it. Any student who wanted to was participating, including the teacher, Alexander said. I said there were only 2 genders, and you were born either a male or a female, and that got me into trouble. And then I said that gender doesn't trump biology. St. Joseph Catholic High School told him that his presence is detrimental to the physical and mental well-being of transgender students. Gender ideology is a concept that propagates the notion that there exist more than 2 genders and gender is performative, a state of mind, and isn't related to sex or biology. Say, a biological male feels effeminate and wants to appear feminine. Just by encountering this feeling, he can now claim to be a woman and vice versa. For a long time, however, before this ideology made its way into modern academia, gender dysphoria, aka gender identity disorder, was treated as an illness, a psychological condition, as in, someone with gender dysphoria was seen as mentally unstable and was treated with the intention to fix his/her atypical to sex behavior. The feeling that you're born in the wrong body. How do you feel like you belong in another body? Even if a man goes through surgical procedures, he still retains his own body. He doesn't switch bodies with a female. He's now a man with silicone implants and a severed genitalia. He's not going to menstruate. He's not going to be able to bear children, so why pretend otherwise? How many genders? The ideologues proclaim that gender is a state of mind and isn't restricted to a binary, i.e. male, female. To them, gender is a spectrum and you can exist on any position within said spectrum. A man can be a woman, transmasculine, transfeminine, non-binary, queer, gender fluid, etc. All these buzzwords and labels have no compact definition and/or tangible points of reference. What is a non-binary and how is it different from queer? Under what criteria can we differentiate between them? Non-binary, queer, questioning, gender fluid are all open-ended terms with no formula as to what differs from what. Those who claim there are more than 2 genders have the onus to prove that statement, and they need to come up with tangible and indisputable evidence that corroborate their claims. Gender identity and gender expression. Gender identity is someone's internal sense of self-identification of a particular gender. Therein lies the problem. If anyone can self-identify as any gender, what validity does gender identity have then? One day you're a man, the next day you're a woman, a week later you're a gender-fluid flailing cactus with candies on it. Furthermore, this proves that gender is not a social construct. If it were, then why'd a man imitate a woman in order to feel like one? Last time I checked, feelings aren't socially constructed. Gender expression is someone's outward expression of their identity, like makeup, dresses, voice tonality and gestures, etc. How is it that in order to identify as someone, you have to wear a dress or put on makeup? Is a woman not a woman if she doesn't comply with societal standards of beauty and womanhood? Because these standards are in fact socially constructed. Yet the woman's identity as a woman does not change by it. Do you not see the paradox? In order to be a trans woman, a man has to present himself like a woman, but a biological woman remains one even if she doesn't present herself like one. Is gender different from sex? No, it's not. To suggest that gender is a social construct, then to go on and mimic biological realities of the sexes, in and of itself proves that gender and sex are synonymous. Women take testosterone, male hormone, in order to transition into a man, and men take estrogen, female hormone, in order to transition into a woman. If being a woman and a man are states of mind, then why tamper with biology? In a woman's case, why feel the need to grow facial hair, lose hair, experience clitoral enlargement and deepen your voice? In a man's case, why feel the need to significantly lower the density of your muscle mass, stimulate breast tissue growth and compromise your sexual potency, i.e., erectile dysfunction and low sperm count, etc. 99% of the world's population, despite the gender ideology running rampant in society, identify as the gender they were born with. So yeah, gender is completely synonymous with sex. In fact, gender is sex. What is a woman? The gender ideologues espouse the narrative that a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman. It's like saying, a chair is a chair, when defining a chair. In order to define a chair, you'd have to say, an inanimate object, a separate seat for one person, typically with a back and 4 legs. If a woman can't be defined by her biology, her ability to give birth, her DNA, her chromosomal makeup, her psychology, then a woman is an abstract concept in the philosophical realm wandering in free flow. The same goes for a man. You can't put an Audi R8 exterior on Honda Civic and call it an Audi R8. You're going to have to take into account its safety protocols, its mileage, its automotive features, etc. If you can't define what you identify as, then it renders your ideology invalid and outright dogmatic.
Uganda, the president isn't Muslim, but he personally, his stance was that no, as an African nation, we're not going to put that practices in place, and so you can't really say, Islam itself is the only one that's,
No, I mean, first thing, culture is a different issue, but if you look at any religion, if you look in the Bible, very clearly condemns it, right? If you read the Bible, if you haven't, Leviticus in the Old Testament, Romans in the New Testament, even has a very strict punishment in the Bible for it. Go ahead.
I never said it was just Islamic people or Muslim people. I'm just talking about in general.
Sure.
I don't.
No, I was just clarifying from her point.
No, I know, but she said it's not just. And I was like,
right.
Just that, so I just want to clarify.
Sure, you're right. I mean, every major religious text condemns homosexuality. Right? But again, that's those texts and the people of that religion. You can look it up yourself, when you can look up the Old Testament, you can look up the New Testament, you can look up writings of any of the traditional commentators from the rabbis or priests and so on. Even till today, most Christian churches do not allow homosexuality, right? But some are changing because they feel they need to, please the people of the time or so on. But they can't change the text. The texts are the text, right? Now, if you want to take it to a biological perspective, if you want to take religion out of it, I think we've already agreed that there is an issue. If somebody feels that this is their opinion, that they think this is fine, they have the right. It's a free country, right? Go ahead.
I don't agree that it's an issue.
What do you mean?
Agree that biologically only men and women can make children together.
To procreate the human race.
That's what I agree with.
Okay, good. We agree.
It's an issue.
So do you think biologically men were supposed to procreate together as a race, or women and women? I mean, that's the core function of two.
Not because they are two different.
Okay, so that's an issue, right?
Sperm cell and an egg cell.
Exactly. And who has a sperm cell? Men. And who has an egg cell? Women. And that's how nature designed for the human race to continue, right? I mean, we can agree to that part, right? Right?
I just
But she agrees.
I understand that's how you need to make children.
Right, no, but I mean, it's not just about having children. Go ahead.
I don't agree that having gay couples who don't have a choice to love who they love
Gotcha.
are somehow going to make the whole population die and the whole species die.
Okay, so
That's a little ridiculous.
sure. So now let's think it through, though, right? To say that one gay couple or two or three, that's a different issue. But we're talking about a species, right? So we have agreed now that the way a species survives is through a male and female, right? Sperm, egg, that is correct, right? So if something is acceptable and natural, then it should be able to be scalable, right? Meaning if the majority of humanity went down that path, would that be an issue for the survival of the human race? Biologically. Yes, no, maybe? You don't want to think about that scenario?
I'm getting really mad and I don't want to be
Why?
disrespectful because I really disagree disagree with
Sure.
everything.
So as
And I really, like, I don't want
I
to,
understand,
like,
but
I don't
as
wanna be disrespectful to
I
you.
appreciate that, but look, if I disagree with your view, I can't get upset. I have to. This is the society we live in. I have to respect the fact that you have a view, right? And if I have a view, you have to respect the fact that I have a view. And we as Americans can disagree, right? That is the whole point of the country we live in. Many people are very adamant about abortion or pro-life or abortion rights, but we have to, as a society, be able to respectfully discuss and respect the fact that somebody may have a different view. If we start getting angry and upset and things, then that closed-mindedness, that hatred would develop, right? That's the whole point of such conversations, is to understand. And this is not something, just my view. Many views that people have around you, you may not agree with. You have that right.
You call yourself a queer Muslim, yet you don't follow any religious scholars nor do you read any authentic books. You take your religion from woke celebrities and gay imams. Why call yourselves Muslims then? Why not talk about the life of Prophet PBUH, his family and his companions? Why only fixate on sex and sexuality? Isn't there more to deen? Isn't Islam the complete code of life? You just want to play the Muslim card to appease your Western overlords. You spew anti-colonial narratives, but the script is written by the same colonial masters of yours for you to pair it off. You get paid by the minute for the amount of licks you make on their boots. Hypo. Queer. Sigh to the liberals who speak ill of hijab and say, it's a choice, and, what if the people start harassing hijabis? It's better to take it off. I ask them, if people start harassing gays, lesbians, trans people, then would you say to them, don't promote homosexuality. Don't wave the pride flag or you'll be harassed. In fact, you'd double down on it and you'd march on streets in protest. When it suits your agenda, you're the first one to take a stand for the oppressed, but the moment the needle shifts north of your agenda, you criticize those policies, legislations. That's why man-made, subjective morality, relative to certain mainstream philosophies, cannot succeed. Islam is and always has been consistent and adamant on the significance of hijab. Only recently there have been reinterpretations of ahadith and Quranic verses, and yet all them align perfectly with the modern woke, diverse LGBT agenda. Coincidence? I think not. Love is love. You keep saying, love is love. However, you don't advocate for love in a romantic essence, you speak solely on sexuality. That's why you perform sexually suggestive dances in front of kids as young as 4 years old and teach them about drag queens and gender fluidity. If love is love, then where's the representation of love on the basis of interfaith, intercaste, interrace marriages? Why does it have to exclusively involve sexuality and gender? For the record, intimate partner violence is much higher among homosexual couples than it is among heterosexual couples. You just want to announce to the public about your bedroom affairs. And it's disgusting. Islamic analysis. Islam clearly mentions the hukuk and farais, rights and duties, of the zawjain, spouses, encompassing both the male and female dynamics. The onus is on you to 1. Provide irrefutable evidence of a homosexual marriage in the time of Prophet Muhammad PBUH, and him allowing it. 2. Prove that Qom-e-Lut was wiped off because of r*pay. Other nations engaged in r*pay and were never vanished from existence because of that. 3. How does the homosexual lifestyle cater to natural order, and doesn't it stop the extinction of our species? You can't reproduce. You have to rely on straight people to make more of you. If you can't decisively prove any or all of the above, beware of introducing new interpretations of ayahs, ahadith, which have decisive tafsir. Detect the fitna. Protect the ummah. Islam is complete. Islam is perfect. Islam doesn't need man-made philosophies and doctrines to embellish itself. It's the word of Allah SWT against the word of pseudo-scientists who keep inventing new genders in a gender studies lab. It's haq versus batil, good versus evil, eman versus nifaq, Rahman versus shaitan.
وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا.
And say, truth has come, and falsehood has departed. Indeed is falsehood, by nature, ever bound to depart. Al-Isra, 81.
We as Muslims must stand on what Allah has ordered. If we look at the LGBTQ XYZ agenda, we as Muslims cannot support this, not to make alliances, even if they don't support our causes. We don't need them, we need Allah. Know this, that the wife of Lut, ﷺ, the Prophet Lot, ﷺ, his wife was called a kafira in the Quran for her support of the LGBTQ people in the time of Lut. She didn't practice that action, but she supported those people. She's called a kafira in the Quran.
رب نجني وأهلي مما يعملون فنجيناه وأهله أجمعين إلا عجوزا في الغابرين.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to Muslimhomies for more updates on this developing story. Until next time, stay safe and take care. Allah Hafiz.